So, mobility session, stretching and hip mobility specifically. This is what's going on in this video. I am in Sharm el Sheikh, Egypt, and enjoying the sun and the weather. And I thought it's a good opportunity to do this mobility session here. I'm gonna show you a bit of the view. So I'm here in my balcony. Wee. So yeah, basically I had a little setup here to do the stretching, and we're gonna do that now, so don't get jealous. Follow along. First stretch is the deep squat. Basically, you want to be as deep as possible, feet apart, and with your elbows you want to push your knees out. That's very important. And from there you're going to shuffle your body sideways like that. Now, depends on how tight you are. Most people will be sitting in that position, you know, when the knees are too much in. It's very important to push them out, because if you have tight inner thighs and that pulls your knees in already, that is putting pressure on your knees. So it's very important, as much as you can. It might be very painful, it depends on how tight you are, but you could start somewhere, like push your knees out, get as low as you can, shuffle your body. Now, it's very important to not lift your heels off the floor. We're going to do this mobility today dynamically. So you're not going to hold, you're going to be doing kind of repetitions, rocking movement like that. And I would work this out by timing. So I'd put the time, check the time, do anything between 45 to 2 minutes, 45 seconds to 2 minutes, even 5 minutes. Depends on how long time you have. Alternatively, you can do repetition. So for example, I can do this 1, 2, 3, and so on. Yeah, again, I'll do at least 50 repetitions. I personally prefer the time. Put the timer here, and then I just know. Here's how you're going to do your second stretch. You're going to get both legs 90 degrees like that. You're going to stay as tall as possible, assisting yourself with that hand. This hand can just go there, and you're going to lift up there. Now, again, depends on how tight you are. You might have the tendency to do this, you know, or like lean because you can't lift. That's fine, but try not to compensate too much. Even if to start with you just don't have any range, you have very little bit to move. As long as you move in a good form like that, without leaning or anything like that, that's fine. And again, you're going to do at least a minute on each side. Again, the other side, same way, 90 degrees, both legs, as tall as possible. Third one, legs straight. This foot is very important to push it out there so you can't see it from the front. If you can't, again, depends on how tight your rotation. You might not be able to do it, but that's fine. You just try to get to that position or as close as possible. Once you're in that position, you're basically going to push your body back, hips, and forward. Back and forward, and so on. You should be feeling that all the way here in the inner thighs, right to the groin. Again, there, foot out, push, and forward, kind of rocking movement like that, back and forth. Again, I put the time. I would work on anything between 45 seconds to 2 minutes. The fire hydrant stretch. So get into that position, keep your leg 90 degrees as it is, and you're going to lift sideways. With this being like more like repetitions, it's easier to count. So I'll do that and count reps. So 1, 2, 3, and so on. And I would work on the range of 15 to 25 reps on each. So next, you go wide as you can. Feet out this time, so you can see my feet out of the body frame. And from here, what you're going to do is push your body in that rocking movement again, backward as far as you can, but you take it easy. Again, depends on how tight you are. If you're doing that correctly, that exact shape, you will feel it very nicely in the hip, inside, internal, and the groin. Again, you could either do it repetitions, just make sure you're pushing backwards more than forward, so you don't need to come all that way forward. It's just more like a constant pushing back like that. Next is a very great stretch for the hip flexors. Now, I'm going to show you the full version and then I'll show you the regressions, so bear with me. This is the full version where you need to be basically your glutes, your bum touching the floor, touching if you can, and then you're going to lean back. So first on your elbows and then eventually on your back. So now, of course, you're thinking, how am I going to do this? I can't even sit on that position. That's fine. What you need to do, start first in that position. See if you can get yourself to touch the floor. If not, then that's fine. Let's say that's as far as you can. It's fine. You're gonna work in that range first, like that, dynamically. It'll be painful, but that's what you need to do. Eventually, you get to be able to sit in that position. Yes. The next progression is to lean on your elbows. It could be as little as 10 seconds, release, or even fully release, and so on, and go back until you're eventually able to completely lean back. Now with that, I could do it dynamically, so do get down, lean back, get back up, and again so far. Or you can do it statically, which is getting into that position with your bum and your back touching the floor, and just hold for at least 2 minutes, and I would do it towards the end of the session. Next, this is a great hip opener. Into that lunges position, hand on the hips, you're going to push forward and back. Now it's important that your knees pointing out, so it's not lined up with your shoulder like that, it's out. You push forward and relax, push forward, relax, and so on. Yeah. Again, just show you from that side. Driving your body as far as you can forward, and if you're doing it correctly, you should feel it on the hip flexors here. So I'm going to do it that way so you can see a front view. Push, open up, you should feel it there. Knees pointing out slightly, and release. Again, when you start, you might not get that far, but everybody should start somewhere. So these are pretty much the most important stretches for the hip, especially if you have tight hips. Now, of course, individually, everybody could have something different to work on, depends on which area of the hip's tight, or if you're rehabbing from injury or whatever. But these you can never go wrong with, so definitely useful for the hip, and they're very convenient because you can just do them at home. You only need a mat, that's all. So if you have any question, please leave in the comments, and if you have a special request, you can message me directly or leave in the comment, and I'll make a video specifically for you. Cheers.